Сейчас я хотела бы предоставить слово нашему следующему зарубежному гостю. Это Питер Бэ, библиотекарь, ответственный за научные коллекции библиотек Принстонского университета, это Лига Плюща, США, который с нами поговорит на тему международного обмена ресурсов в период COVID-19, OCLC и других сетей. Dear Peter, we're giving the floor to you. Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you great. Thank you.
Okay, I heard the news from Singapore that a professor that was muted only. So I don't know that this happens here. Okay, let me share my screen so that you can see. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see the screen. Yep.
Okay. Again, good morning, colleagues. My name is Peter Bé, and this is a pleasure talking with you about the topic that I'm really interested in. And also during the Mark's presentation, he talked about the resource sharing. So my focus will be especially in the resource sharing, how we can do internationally. So this picture is the library that I'm working as a Princeton University library. And again, my topic will be how can we share our resources internationally? And during the presentation, I will try to provide some practical tips that you can even use now after this conference. Again, this picture I took the last week. We had some snow, so this is evening. Some people say this is like church, So before starting talking about the main subject, and I will give you some context, just talking about the university and the library. I'm working in Princeton University, and the library is we call the Firestone Library. I don't know if you are interested in the car. There's a car tire, a company who produces tires of the car called the Firestone. That is the person who donated money when the library building was built in 1949. So the library is named after him. So this picture is from a couple of years ago in the summer. I really miss that time. Princeton University started in 1746 and currently in Princeton, New Jersey. It's a very small town between Philadelphia and New York City. It's about an hour south of New York City or north of Philadelphia. So as you can see from the map, this is what we call Northeast Corridor from Washington, D.C. up to Philadelphia and New York. The Princeton is in the middle. Compared to Mark's Penn State, we are a very small school. Not 80,000, we have only 8,000 students. And also at the same time, you might see the number of the faculty and staff. So total faculty and staff are almost the same as the number of students. So our class size is sometimes one professor has 5 students. So this is one of the uniqueness in Princeton. So a freshman student can have this small class with a Nobel laureate. And more than half of our students are receiving the scholarships. This is the library where I'm working. And this building was built in 1990. We went through the several.
Peter, your voice is breaking for some reason. We can't hear you properly. Sometimes.
Okay, maybe I will change the microphone. That's
yes. Yeah, so that we don't miss anything. Yeah.
Okay, what about now?
It's much better. Yeah, it's much better.
Okay, thank you. So that was the...
Yeah, because we also have an interpreter working at the same time, yeah.
Yeah, so So the first picture up here, as you can see, the one side is original building, and then we added more space to the original building. And we have more than 7 million items and good special collections materials that includes the Gutenberg Bible and Shakespeare's First Folio. So, but these are not just the special collections. Our students, for example, English major, after they study Shakespeare from the school, and next day they can come to the library and they can touch Shakespeare's first folio. If you're a music major, you can study Bach's sonata, and then next class you can come to the library and actually touch the manuscript, the score that Bach has written, several hundred years ago. And not many university students has this kind of privileges to use them. And also I don't know how clear you can see, but I took a picture of one section of our collection in which you can see the books from 1813 is shelved next to 2013. So as a research library, if selectors, our bibliographers found this book has a value, we keep in the stack after 200 years of this publication. So most cases before 1800, we put in special collections, but after 1800, we will have them in the stack. And also at the bottom picture, you can see our offsite storage facility, which we share with the Columbia and New York Public and Harvard University Library. As a storage building, this might be the largest in the US. As of now, it has more than 15 million volumes of the books in it. So if you can visit, I really wish to show you. This is really something you have to see. So the interlibrary loan is what we call normally, or the broadly speaking resource sharing, but depending on the country, maybe if you go to UK, they will call it interlending, or in some other place, it's called the document delivery. I know there's also a term in Russian too. But we normally use interlibrary loan when the item is not available in our library. But this not available is broadly defined. Not only we do not own, at least in the US academic libraries, the not available also means the item is currently checked out. So if item is checked out to another person, it is not available. So you can recall the item, but most libraries has a policy that recall will change the due date within 2 weeks or the 10 days. But interlibrary loan works much faster than that. So most academic libraries in the US now, they just request it through the interlibrary loan when item is checked out. So the number of the interlibrary loan transactions we do a year is big. Some top interlibrary loan lending or borrowing libraries, they have more than 100,000 transactions a year. And to do that, there are several resource sharing networks. The smallest, I called it as a tiered network, but there is a regional resource sharing network, like a Barodrect and Parsi. Barodrect is among the Ivy schools, and Parsi is started from Penn, state of Pennsylvania. I think Mark School is a part of the Parsi, but there are several other local regional resource sharing network. And then OCLC, which I'm going to explain later, is covering the entire country. And also OCLC has many international member libraries, so we can use it as well. And IFLA is not defined as a network, but there are some network or libraries we can go through IFLA. And then also there are functional resource sharing network. The most well-known one is the DocLine. DocLine is a resource sharing network among the medical libraries. So, the medical libraries, they may need resources very quickly. As a joking, we are saying some doctors wants the article while they're in operation room, which I don't think it will really happen, but things like that. But for our patient service, we do not want our patient to know what network they have to use. When they submit the request, we will take care of them. We will find the best way to get the materials for them. So the OCLC is one of the most popular resource sharing network, at least in the US academic libraries. And OCLC is what is called Online Computer Library Center. But originally when it started, it was Ohio College Library Center. So their idea was in 1967, they thought we can use computer and network. Just imagine it's 1967. So they thought using the computer network and they can work together So at that time, many libraries create their own catalog, but if one library create a catalog record and share it through the computer network, then the other libraries can save the time and they can do other things. So started as a union catalog project, and then it grew up. Also, when union catalog exists, people know who owns what. So especially when you know who has which item, then it is natural that you can use it for the resource sharing. So currently, OCLC has many other services, and the resource sharing network is one big services they provide. And OCLC resource sharing network is membership based. So if you are not a member, you cannot use the resource sharing network per se. But OCLC WorldCat is one of the largest union catalog, which has more than 500 million records in it. That is available freely online. You can search them. So I put the URL down there, worldcat.org. So when you go there, you can search any books that OCLC has the record, and then you can also find who owns the materials. So I put a screenshot here. This is the WorldCat starting page. And from here, you can search the book or DVD or CDs. And you can create an account with OCLC as a person. And then, it doesn't allow you to the resource sharing, but at least you can keep the item that you searched it and keep the record and other things. So as an example, I searched the title here. It's a Kazakhstan Entering the Future. It's a 2002 publication from London. And when you search title, and then in the middle, you can see enter your location. If you enter location, I put Almaty here. And OCLC system will try to find the nearest library which has this item. And I checked, actually before this presentation, I checked the OCLC database, and I didn't find any member library in Kazakhstan. That's why I don't see any Kazakhstan libraries in Kazakhstan here. But at least it shows the closest library from Almaty is the ADA, or Ada University Library in Azerbaijan. And another interesting feature here is that all the libraries' names here are linked. So when you click this link, the library name, what you will see is most cases it is linked directly to the catalog record of the holding library. So you can see this library, this is part of the ADA University Library General Collection, and the item is available. So at this point, what you can do is you can go to the ADA library main page and find the information of the interlibrary run department and send them an email, can I borrow this? So without using OCLC resource sharing network, if you use that, there is another system that run behind it. But even without using that, you can see who owns what, and then you can make the request for the items. And then the international resource sharing is a bit tricky because there are many national resource sharing network running, but OCLC has also some international libraries in it. I said international in the sense of the US, but there is no well-defined international resource sharing network. Especially during the COVID time last year, we found some of the national resource sharing network is really not working, and there's no reliable resource sharing network internationally. So with the colleagues in IFLA document delivery and resource sharing section, and we started a small initiative called RFCBD. We meant resource sharing in the times of COVID, but then later somebody found RFCBD can be read as a received. So in interlibrary run sense, received it of our final goal we wish to have. So we call it as a received initiative. So we started very simple web form, and all the workflow behind is done through the Google Sheet. So this is where you can actually make a request if you need any materials. Then the volunteers from around the world, we can provide you. So let me show you the screenshot of the website. Oh, before that, there are a couple of other things that I guess I have to talk to you. So this is an interlibrary loan. So only the librarians currently working in a not-for-profit library can make the request. It is not interpersonal loan, but it's interlibrary loan. So we are providing materials to the library, not the person. And also we require the librarians who make the request use their name and official email address belong to their institution. So many addresses like ILL at whatever at ac.kz or something, so we can easily find them. And then the article delivery is always done electronically, so we don't do physical delivery, obviously, but we can deliver book chapters and journal articles electronically. And this is a free service. We don't charge, and if you don't charge, the process is a lot simpler. You don't have to worry about how to, especially international sense, exchange, how to pay, all those other things. You don't have to worry about that. And also we recommend to follow the copyright law of each country. And we started the project in last year, April. And so in 2020, we received almost 11,000 requests, and about 60% of requests were filled. And most requests were filled within a couple of days. So this is the simple main screen with the receive.org. You can type, you can even try now. So while working on this project, we worked with a non-for-profit initiative called the Open Access Button. So Open Access Button is a project that tries to connect the open access resources throughout the internet. So first, you may need to search the article or chapter you need from here. So you can search, and if Open Access Button find the title is available as open access, then you will get it. You don't have to even make a request. You can just get the article directly from here. And if Open Access Button cannot find it, then it will go to the next screen where you can, again, add citations. And then when you go continue, then you can tell us about yourself, about the institution, and which library you belong. And then if there are any additional information, when do you need and other information is here. If you have any local reference number, you can add as well. So once the request is submitted, then there are volunteers from around the world will work on this, and they will provide you the articles. And most cases, you will receive an email with a link to the article and password. We do not send article as attachment, but you will receive a way to, the link from which you can download the articles. And I just didn't show you the workflow, but if anyone interested in more about this project, I can send you more information. But currently, we are, how can I say, when we started, I thought the COVID will be ended by summer. So this will be really a temporary initiative, but that is not true. And then we found that this will be a really good starting point to create an international resource sharing network. And because of that, with my colleagues here, we applied for a grant and the European Union, and we received the European Union funding. And so this project will move forward. We will make more stable resource sharing platform, which could be used also for the national resource sharing network, if there isn't any. And obviously, we will try to connect the resource sharing network internationally. And also we are trying to make more official organizational structure and all other things. Initially, really, I started with the 2 colleagues in Italy. So that's all we needed to start. So it's very rudimentary and simple, but the time, in last year, March and April, we need something to run. So we just said, let's start it and so move on so far. So these links here are some good resources if you are interested in international resource sharing. There are some listserv you can join. Also, the Share ILL is something very interesting. You can find maybe almost every single useful information about resource sharing there. You can find the union catalog worldwide and the schedules for the major interlibrarian conference, and there are a lot of useful informations. And also, if you come to the IPLA document delivery and resource sharing sections, we have also some international resource sharing guidelines and standard, which is actually we are working on to update because it's a bit outdated. And also there is a Facebook group for the interlibrarian librarians, if you wish to join. We talk a lot about the things happening in our library. So this will be a fun place to join. So this is my information. So please, contact me if you need anything from us or any questions. I'm happy to answer. And also, if I need something from Kazakhstan, I will contact you. Now I saw almost 170 or some colleagues in Kazakhstan. So I will contact someone to get things from Kazakhstan. Before sharing the resources, we start sharing our experiences and knowledges. So that is one of the most important things. Whatever I said today, I hope that this will be useful, but most important thing is I talk with you so that you know me, you saw me, so at least there's someone to contact if you need anything, and I'm happy to help you whatever way I can. Thank you.
Dear Peter, thank you so much for sharing such useful information and resources. We already have a question from the audience. What are the conditions for Kazakhstani libraries that they need to satisfy in order to enter the OCLC network?
So OCLC network, yes, that is something, how can I explain? OCLC is in the US, the membership-based organization. So you have to be a member. And to be a member, maybe I can share with you later about it in detail, but there are certain services you can join. And I don't know how the OCLC will work with, because their business or their, well, I should say business is different from one country from another country. So in the US, we are directly dealing with the OCLC, but in some other countries, the OCLC contract with a local company. So unfortunately, in that case, it became almost like any other company, like EBSCO, ProQuest. So I don't know if Kazakhstan has any company who works with OCLC already, or if you need about more information, I will contact with the OCLC. I'm actually a member of the OCLC Global Council, so I can check with them. And yeah, unfortunately, I cannot give you detailed information for now, but I'm confident to check with them.
Thank you for the reply. Уважаемые коллеги, есть ли еще вопросы к Питеру? I actually have a quick question, Peter. You mentioned all these various networks, right? Including IFLA and the American Library Association. What would you say is the main advantage of being, a part of such an association?
That's a really good question. Sometimes we do things in our own library community locally, but having that vast network, you can learn a lot from what others are doing. Well, at the end of the day, I can say we are all the librarians. We are the same species. We serve our patient the same way, but depending on the circumstance, people do things a little bit differently. So that learning what they do in certain conditions and learning why they made such a decision and what are their thought process about those things could be a great way to improve what you do. Also, it's not just that you are learning from them, but also you can teach others about what you are doing too. And being part of this network, especially actually I said at the end of my presentation, but knowing colleagues in other institutions, that really great help to make a better service. Let me give you an example. I'm very active in IFLA, but until I say 2010 or 2012, first time that I joined in IFLA conference, I met a gentleman from Zimbabwe. So we shared, our business card, and we just said hello. We just said a couple of things. But when I come back from the conference, I had a request from my patron who wants a dissertation from Zimbabwe. Normally, there's no way I can get. But since I met this gentleman from Zimbabwe at the conference, and I have a fresh memory of him, and I have his business card, so I contacted him, and he graciously contacted the library which owns the dissertation. I was able to get it within a couple of days. So this network, human network is more important, really. Making connection, and even this conference, I would love to be, go in Kazakhstan to meet you in person. But still, this online conference, meeting them, this will be a great resources you can use. And I can share my other network for you. For example, if you need something from Brazil, and I have some friends and colleagues in Brazil, so I can be a matchmaker between Kazakhstan and Brazil too. So this creating a network itself is really valuable sources.
Great, thank you, Peter. We have a question from the audience, from Kulash. She's asking, which type of books do you share, like you give an open access to, and what do you look at before you, share certain resources?
So for now, we share only the sources we can provide electronically. And in general, in the US, the academic libraries do not really discriminate the types of books we can share. For the main thing is this: if we circulate this item to our patron, why not circulate it to the patron in another library? So whatever we share with our patrons, we will share with others. And unfortunately, with the international sense, if you are talking about the physical delivery, there are some libraries very hesitant to send materials internationally. It takes long, and also there might be some other things could happen. But people worry, but there's not many accident happens. Only the problem is the cost of shipping internationally. That is a big problem. It is expensive. So there was a question earlier with the Mark session about the COVID and other measures, that there are some other projects that the US libraries are working on now. One is the controlled digital lending, which is basically libraries can scan the print books from their collection and make it available for their patron when the ebook's not available. But I'm thinking if we can extend it for the resource sharing, so instead of sending physical book to Kazakhstan, if we allow a patron in Kazakhstan can see what we digitized from our library, that would be another great way of sharing it. But still, there are many, because of COVID, there are many new services started. And in a way, this might be a good chance for us to explore further.
Thank you very much, Peter. We have a question from Kamila Aslbekova.
Hello.
Hello.
Здравствуйте. Я начну по-русски, вопрос задам по-английски. Насчет членства в OCLC. Хотела прокомментировать, что у нас была такая инициатива, но, к сожалению, это сейчас пока не приоритет оказалось для руководства вуза. И для наших коллег из Казахстана вот хотела сообщить, что членство в OCLC стоит $2000 в год или евро. Ну, в общем, небольшая сумма, да, которая поможет стать видимым в этом мировом каталоге. И было бы здорово туда, конечно, войти. И продолжу работу в этом направлении. And my question is, dear Peter, thank you for your presentation. When you, I'm sorry, my internet connection was a bit with interruptions, and I didn't hear all your speech. But my question is, when you talked about resource sharing, you meant only your library fund, I mean print fund, right? It doesn't have anything with subscribed articles, I mean subscribed databases licensed materials, right? Only print books that you can digitize and share some digital files or interlibrary loans. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Maybe I wasn't clear. Well, actually, we share more of those subscribed electronic sources. So when we subscribe, we signed up the UCC license. So one of the important elements we are adding there is we can share with other libraries through the interlibrary loan. So we have many databases. Princeton has thousands of databases. And I would say 95% of those databases, we can share the contents within the database of journals. We can share with them. So in those cases, if somebody requests an article which we do not own print, but we own a subscribed journal database, we can download and we can send it to the requesting libraries. So it doesn't cover only the print or print materials. So there was a big discussion several years ago among the US interlibrary community, so that we argued that items should be shared. So we talked with the electronic resource librarians who negotiate all the contract with the vendors. So as I said, most of the electronic resources, they allow to share the materials.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the question.
Уважаемые коллеги, еще есть вопросы? Any other questions? If there are no questions at this point, Peter, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking your time to present and meet everyone and for making yourself available. We thank you again and we hope for a future fruitful collaboration. Уважаемые коллеги, я поблагодарила Питера за то, что он к нам присоединился, поделился инсайтами. Камиля, большое вам спасибо за вопросы. Сейчас я хотела передать слово